Previously at Inside the Lab. As the saying goes, right? Out with the old and with the new. But yeah, this one's personal. This one hits close to the chest. This system, my original gaming and eventual content creation rig, hasn't been maintained or upgraded since its inception. It was originally built around the Corsair Crystal 570X, which desperately needed to be cleaned and wiped down. It certainly has been a while, with the enthusiast grade Asus ROG Maximus 11 Hero running an 8700K I picked up on the used market a while ago in an RTX 2080. And as a system, it was beginning to show its age, at least for my increasingly demanding workflow and in my games I like to play, which is at a higher resolution, refresh rate, and aspect ratio, that is 3440 by 1440p on a 100Hz 21:9 VA panel in an RTX 2080. And well, that's long gone and replaced with the 3090, which was bottlenecked by the 12-core Threadripper. So it was time to put it to work, that is, pairing one of the fastest graphics cards on the market right now with a just as capable CPU. One ideal for the Adobe suite of apps I use running the live streams, and that's also fast enough to keep up with the RTX 3090. And being as there's only one upgrade path on this Z390 chipset, I went with the 9900K I've had sitting around, brand new in the box, that I picked up on eBay for around 300 USD. It has 8 cores and 16 threads, insane boost clocks, and is more than fast enough for higher resolution gaming and video editing. The H100i V2 has been a favorite of mine and enabled me to push my 8700K to an all-core 5 GHz overclock and even 5.2 GHz under the right ambient temperature conditions. And while it's not flashy, it's definitely functional with 220mm Corsair fans that should aid or will aid in keeping the 9900K running nice and chill, especially given how I don't plan on doing any initial overclocking and will just let Intel's turbo technology mortgage the overhead and boost as high as it can. I also switched out the 3200 MHz 16GB kit of Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro for the reliable 32GB quad channel kit of Corsair Dominator Platinum that too was cannibalized from Core Shredder. Again, nothing over the top about this kit. It doesn't have any flamboyancy or flashiness on the heat spreaders, but I have been able to load stable XMPs beyond its rated speed for this kit, which is 3000 MHz. But most importantly, 2x in memory capacity here is going to free up additional resources in regards to all tasks required of this system. I also swapped out the EVGA 750W G2 power supply with the 1000W EVGA G3 fully gold power supply. And now NVIDIA recommends a 750W power supply unit for the RTX 3090, and the 9900K is no slouch when it comes to its power draw, so making the switch here was a no-brainer. And now we also have a lot of headroom for future overclocking on both the GPU and CPU. I also added a few custom cables to allow Snow White to live up to its name, but I'm not sure if they're compatible with this power supply unit, so I guess we'll find out when it's time to power up the system. Spoiler alert, they didn't. And after reworking the cable management in the rear and bottom of the case, which on a side note is a good practice and really adds touch and concern with your system, especially if you can see the internals from every angle, I find it comfort in taking the time to properly fasten and outline the path of each wire. If you don't have a lot of space in your case or a small basement, do your best to set it and forget it, out of sight, out of mind, right? And again, zip ties are your best friend. But once that was all said and done, I fired up Snow White for the first time in 5 days, a record mind you, jumped into BIOS and loaded an XMP of 3000 MHz and just ran through a few games and productivity benchmarks just to make sure everything was on the up and up. In particular, I tested Far Cry 6 at 4K or 3840 by 2160 to make sure the 9900K was able to stretch the RTX 3090's wings, and then it did deliver a more than playable FPS on average at ultra or max settings, and the game looks sharp and plenty detailed. Here, take a look and listen.
Now go get those fascists, Tiger.
Bet this place has a stash room.
You're dead, Rasta! Arquero Tigor! Protect the
Llegó alta.
Temps were moderate during gaming, with the 9900K boosting up to 4.7 GHz on all cores and peaking at around 90 degrees C during a Cinebench run. I also tested it at 3440 by 1440p, which is my preferred choice for gaming, which too was impressive, but I'll release a separate video with those results, so be sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't yet to catch that piece of content when it drops. And I was going to replace the Corsair H100i V2, but it's still getting the job done within the grand scope of the core operations on this system, that is rendering and processing 1080p and 4K videos, editing raw images, gaming at a high resolution while encoding and recording streams, all to which in this configuration Snow White 2.0 has the hardware muster and performance meta to make it happen. But Alder Lake is coming soon, and honestly there's still plenty of value with 10th generation Rocket Lake and the Z490 chipset for a hybrid gaming and productivity setup. 11th generation tops out at 8 cores on the Z590 chipset with the 11700K and 11900K, and is more serving of a dedicated gaming rig, of course at a premium cost. But the most important fact about this entire project is that as we continue the content mission, that is discovering the hidden value within legacy hardware and components and sharing it with the community at large, we'll all start and begin on this system, Snow White 2.0, which has undergone a moderate but significant change, and change well is inevitable. Change is a constant. This isn't the end of the story, it's only the next page. Watch this video to learn how to get started on your next PC build. Subscribe if you're new to the community, and I'll catch you in the next one. Be easy.